Hi, I'm Andrew Spieler.
And I'm Rachael Rennie.
And you're watching or listening to Behind the Sign, real stories from real estate. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Behind the Sign. We're here for an exciting month of green-flavored March fandom, all about adminning, right?
Leverage.
Leverage, right.
There
Even
we
better.
go.
Exactly.
Adminning.
Way better than basketball.
Adminning.
Yes.
Yes.
Adminning. Yes. Rachael, would you like to introduce our special guest?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have two of the best from Rach and H, and this is Rachael Farley, who is a second timer.
That's right. You're the second timer.
Only
to
Alan?
maybe.
Alan
You're the third second timer because Bill and Alan were the first two second timers.
That's not a bad group to be in, Rachael.
It's an esteemed group of colleagues.
That's right. Yes. One more visit and you get a hat, so you gotta come back.
And then we have Sarah Bardwell. So thank you for joining us. And we're bringing you guys on because this month we are looking at leverage. It is that looming, heavy, I would say almost a weight on agents. Mm-hmm. They know they need help. Mm-hmm. They know they're good at selling. Hate paperwork. Not good at it. Not good at tying up all those loose ends. And yet we get busy and we just start doing this stuff. And yet we're running really small businesses that we can't just hire a full staff like immediately. And so I think it's really a hard spot that agents are in trying to figure out when to hire, what type of leverage. So we're going to kind of start kind of on the big picture because you guys run a really solid team and you're a great example of that. And so I want to kind of give people a big picture of what it could look like. And that's why you guys are on. So thank you guys so much. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves? And maybe, Rachael, you can introduce Sarah.
Yes. Oh, it's so great. Okay, good. All right. So, I want to introduce myself. So, Sarah has been a member on the team for 8 years. She started as my first full-time hire as kind of an EA. And then after that...
We'll say what an EA is.
Executive administrator. Perfect. And then a second person was brought on as a transaction coordinator. And then as we started growing the team and bringing on sales agents, she was promoted to director of operations. So she has been part of the team for 8 of our 10 years. And now the director of operations, we now have 4 sales people, including myself, and 4 in operations, and then 1 virtual assistant. And she manages all hiring and many, many things. But so Sarah's our director of operations.
Well, thank you, Sarah. I know coming on a podcast is a little different for an admin than an agent. Agents, we kind of are always out there in some way. Admins like to be behind the scene doing all the stuff and cleaning up after us, all the agents, or they don't like it, but they're good at it. So thank you for coming because I think so many of us just don't know where to start on all of this. So I'm going to start with Rachael because I do want one question and then I'm going to come to you because you're going to get this really the limelight, but we'll start on you will, sorry.
Although wait, can Sarah introduce Rachael?
Oh God, I can only imagine.
I really want to hear Sarah's provision.
Okay, never mind. Go ahead. Good idea. Okay, Sarah, will you introduce Rachael?
Oh gosh.
All right. So this is Rachael. She has started from a sole agent and now we've created this team and there's been a lot of change over the past 8 years together. But there's also been a lot of new opportunities and growth, which is what has kept us together and complementing one another.
I love that. And that's where there are not many teams who hold a director of operations or an admin person for 8 years. So she must be doing something right. Yes. To keep you on, or you're crazy.
No, it's a partnership.
It is. Well, and that is really a hard balance for agents to know because, and we've talked about this before, the skill to sell homes and have just selling real estate is one skill. Running a company is a whole different skill that's really uncomfortable to most of us. So, Rachael, when did you decide you needed leverage?
Yeah. It's so funny. You could probably have me on 10 more times because I'll talk about leverage all day long. Because To be successful in real estate, you kind of have to be a jack of all trades. You have to be okay wearing a lot of hats. So even though we might not be the greatest at paperwork or we are good enough to get the ball rolling enough, right? And so sometimes it's oftentimes hard for us to let go of things. So I think that sometimes people just say, oh, I'll just hire sales help and I'm just going to keep holding all the other things. But it ends up, being your Achilles heel because you can't do all the things at the highest level.
Yes.
And one thing I'll say is, yes, you're right. We can't hire a whole staff of people off the bat, but you can start with something. And early signs of leverage could be just, simply a transaction coordinator that you're paying per use. But really, if you're all in and you're having success, say you're doing 25, 30 transactions a year and you could do more, you are ready to hire somebody full time. And think of it, and I'm not the first person to say this, you're not signing up for a full year salary. You're signing up for 90 days to see if that person's a fit for you and if they're starting to improve your business. And that's kind of the mantra I went into it. But again, what's the catalyst? What pushes you? Well, mine was twofold. It was the desire to grow and be more successful. But I was absolutely willing to buy my time back because my story is I was recently divorced and my kids were 2, 4, and 6. And I just refused to be a zombie working 80 hours a week to be successful. And I knew I had what it take to sell, but I needed to duplicate myself in the office. And so that's why Sarah and I ended up being such a good fit because she had the same enthusiasm and attention to detail and all of these great attributes that I was looking for that I knew I could trust passing the torch over. And so for me, it was like I was willing to buy back my time. So I was investing in that. And luckily, that ended up being the first stepping stone to starting a team and growing something bigger. That is part of being a mega agent or being a business owner is you have to be willing to let some things go and having mistakes be made. And I'm not saying it's Sarah, it's all of us. Anybody who's been member of our team, myself included, we make mistakes, but that's part of the learning process. And show me a business out there that hasn't made mistakes. Everybody does.
Yeah. And I remember when we interviewed you last, they can go back. I don't know what episode that was, but we interviewed you.
23. No, I'm just kidding. Totally.
So
Just going to say it with
impressed.
confidence and just see if it's stuck. But yeah, I have no idea.
Let's go see it.
That's right, yeah.
But you were all in. And I remember your story of you're like, I'm going to give it this amount of time.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to go all in. And you also said, I don't know really what I'm doing. I'm going to learn from other people who did it well and just followed that system.
Yeah.
And for me, that was a big part of it that you said, okay, there's a system to this. And you did it. So how far into your business did you hire Sarah?
So transaction coordinator came within 6 months. I was like, okay, this is working. Maybe 6 to 12 months, like closer to 12 months. I was like, okay, I'll offload this part so I don't have to do every single thing. And then in my second year, so somewhere in my second year, I started putting out feelers. What does this look like? Do you know anybody? How do you hire somebody? Where do I go? And, I ended up asking somebody who was in kind of the student recruiting world. And Sarah came to me fresh out of UNH. And so we got introduced by a mutual friend, but somebody who was in the recruiting world. And so I knew that it was a good fit.
That's awesome. Okay. Now you're up, Sarah.
I'm ready.
So what?
Were you thinking?
I wonder that myself. Yeah.
That's right. Listen, I just had coffee for the first time 3 months from that coffee stand. So
Did
I'm
you see the coffee stand?
humming.
We missed the coffee stand.
Oh, damn you. Coffee stand. Stay tuned.
they'll
They'll
be
be back.
Yeah.
What caused you to say, you know what? Out of college is what she said. What attracted you to this role?
So real estate was not on my radar at
It
all.
usually isn't. It usually isn't.
But that's okay because I'm all about things are meant to be and works out how it's supposed to be. I did have other corporate job offers. And when it really came down to, and has always come down to for me, is the opportunity of growth, both personally and professionally. So the fact that there was already that ceiling and end of my career in the corporate world where I'd need to leave or find my own way after that. And the fact that Rachael was offering a blank slate and was very transparent of I don't know where this is going in 5, 10, 15 years, but there's a lot of growth opportunity for us together if we're the right fit.
That's amazing. And I think there's a lot of wisdom in being very transparent at the beginning.
Yeah.
But to see, you had maturity. Most kids out of college don't have that maturity to know they want a place with more growth, right? You just see a shiny object and jump at it. Now, what did you study at UNH?
Marketing and finance.
Got it.
Nice.
Okay, so a good combination.
Yeah.
Okay. And what was it in Sarah that said, you know what, this would be a good fit?
So I'll give you the answer from 8 years ago. Nowadays, I would say KPA all the way, right?
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
and I'm not kidding. I mean, we have put,
You guys do that, and
and I say way loosely, Sarah has
Sarah
put
takes care
so
of it.
many people through the KPA process, and we have found that it's such a good determinant, and not even so much the results, is like every aspect of it. So when you send the KPA, when do they fill it out? How fast do they
What
fill
is
it
the
out?
KPA, just for anybody who's...
Oh, Keller personality assessment. And so it's something that the office can help you administer to potential candidates that you'd be willing to hire specific to their job role.
It's like a disc review, but a killer.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's specific. You can do transaction coordinator, EA, different sales roles within a team or a solo agent and all these different things. And so nowadays we live and breathe by it because it's such a good litmus test, and you can measure kind of so many different aspects as you go. Now, the report itself is also very useful, right? Because who do you know who doesn't say I have a great attention to detail? Every single person says that.
On their
About
resume.
themselves.
Yeah.
About themselves, but is that true? So the assessment is a wonderful tool. However, I really didn't know about it back then. I'm still learning how to sell houses. So my answer today, be better than I was 8 years ago. Use it as a tool.
You should have seen her KPI. No,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I mean, and actually it was kind of funny because a couple years later I was like, do you want to do one? And so we did it after the fact. Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
And it came back a high match. No shock. Of course it is. Well, number one, she was this, and I think, and this is why I'm a little apprehensive to talk about how I hired, because I think so many agents just hire like on their gut,
Yes.
or somebody recommends them. And
But
so,
this is your honest
Yeah.
story, and I think it's helpful for people to see.
yeah,
They can see the end results. We talk about that all the
Mhm.
time. There's all these end results. Is it an Alan or a Bill
Mhm.
that they see the end results and they're like, wait, there's a story behind it,
Yeah.
and there's always a messy.
yeah,
right.
fair enough. Fair enough.
So
So, and the short answer is, I mean, she was referred to somebody who I really admired and thought was like a very reliable, great source. And she came highly recommended. And when I met with her, it was just like instantly like, this young person has their act together, and you can tell like a shining star when they're around. And I was like, this is the way she's attacking college. Like, imagine giving her, roles and projects. It's like, she's just the type of person who is going to knock it out of the park.
Yeah.
And so it was just like very obvious, like, she's the one, no question. Like, please say yes. Please.
what do I need to say to
Yes. Yeah.
So Sarah,
Mm-hmm.
when you said yes, did you have any clue what you were getting into?
Honestly, no, because it wasn't on my radar.
Yeah.
I thought I was gonna go work for like a Lint or a startup marketing company, and it was like this all makes sense. There was the right gut feeling, and I was just gonna see how it all shook out. And at that point, I was fresh out of college, so on my end, the risk was kind of low
Yes.
because I had other opportunities, and I knew I could get my resume right back out there if it didn't work out.
That's not crazy.
That never
If
happens.
we weren't the right fit, and
Yeah.
90 days in, because it's as much of a test on Rachel's side and my side, seeing if this
Yes.
partnership was going to work, I can put my resume right back out there. And I knew that my parents' home was always there if I needed to go back.
That's a big deal. And these are the realities of it.
Yeah.
So Sarah, you can probably answer this more because you observe agents on a
Mhm.
very regular basis. So you started just the two of you, really, and then you've built this up. What do you think is the hardest thing for an agent to let go of?
That's a great question. I don't think there's one answer, really.
Everything?
I was just going to say
Well,
everything.
It really depends on the personality. And so I think the biggest piece is the paperwork if I have to pick one like overarching topic, but it really depends on the personality of the agent. Are they more reserved or are they more outgoing? And depending on that, it might be automations in their database because they're like, oh, my friend's never going to want to hear from anybody else but me. But then somebody who's a little bit more reserved, they're like, ooh, I don't want to let go of how I do my open houses in a certain way, or my marketing that goes out that's a little bit more general to reach a broader audience, because they might feel overwhelmed by interacting with then too many people because they like the more one-on-one conversation. So there's not a one size fits all, but definitely the overarching would be paperwork.
Well, when you were saying all those things, though, what I'm hearing is the personal way I do things, right? Because we take so much ownership of that. That's our baby. I mean,
I was just talking about this with somebody else last week. We see what we do as that's the 100% version of how it should be done through our own lens and perspective. And so you're never going to be able to get 100% consistency when you pass it off to somebody else. So you have to retrain your brain to be like, as long as it's about 80% of what I would do, let it go.
Yep.
Because 80% is honestly good enough, and it's probably somebody else's 100%. You don't even realize it. But it's a hard thing to sort of just like think of, because it's sort of like, like you don't know really until you go and just try it and see if it fails and see if it works. And most of the times out in LA, this happens all the time. The director would come in with like a shot list and be like, these are the shots we have to get today. Like, we have to do these. This is my vision. Right.
Yeah.
And then you get into the day and you realize, like, we didn't need half of those. We found something better because other people informed the creative process and elevated the content through a collective hive mind. Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, rather than just thinking solo, it's thinking as a unit, which is kind of a hard thing to sort of retrain yourself on until you find somebody you can trust, who you can open up to.
Well, and what I learned over the years too is, if you think of all of us, like we might be somewhere on the disc analysis. Well, everybody that you're interacting with is also somewhere on the disc analysis. And so just because this is the way I like to do X, Y, or Z, all of the above, doesn't mean that's the way that everybody I'm interacting with wants to be communicated with or wants to interact with, on whether it's contracts or whether it's just regular marketing or client events or whatever. And so just knowing that as long as you're putting out a professional product, it doesn't have to be exactly as you would have it. And like, kind of getting to your point, is good enough is good enough. And, I won't say that when it comes down to like commission statements or something like that. Like, we have to have some accuracy.
Yeah, there's certain basic, functional levels.
But most everything can be corrected. Like, even if you did send something out in an error, like almost everything can be corrected. And so just letting go. And to be honest, that was a big part of my growth as an agent to a business owner, is letting go. Like, you cannot possibly own every detail, or it will hold you back.
Yeah.
well, and that's where and I want to kind of look at a bigger picture. Now, did you have a bigger picture of a team when you started, or not really? Or just, I need to survive and make this successful?
Survival was like, I think the first year is like, can I make this work?
Yeah.
Ooh, a little nail biting. But I don't think it was like trying to grow a team. But then being exposed to Keller Williams, eventually I was like, well, why couldn't I? Or why wouldn't I be able to find enough business to support a team? And it really did grow organically, like first hire, second hire, then bringing in showing assistants, then elevating them to buyer's agents. And so it did grow organically. And I haven't grown it so big that I feel like it's out of control. Like, going into 2026 is our biggest staff that we've had, and we've learned along the way, and we made plenty of mistakes. But I feel like we're the most ready we've ever been going into this year.
Well, I was just listening to a podcast today, A Millionaire Real Estate. The newest one is about Matt Miali, who has a huge team. They do like 500 units. But he said there were so many mistakes in the restarting of the team. And I know you guys together. And I think having that trusted partnership is, I feel like when I look at your team, that's why it's worked, because there's two of you working on it. It's not just Rachael starting from scratch, starting again. It's the two of you working together. And sometimes you do have to kind of clean the slate and get started, or say, we thought this would bring something, and you don't know until you really do it, right?
Well, and progress and growth is evolutionary, not revolutionary. Like, it has to go through a process, and people have to understand that a process is that. It's a process. It's messy. It's not going to be efficient and perfect. There is no such thing, and it's always going to be changing and evolving if you're doing it right.
Yeah.
And I treat our business working relationship with a lot of respect, I feel like. And so when we're going to make big changes, I come to her and I'm like, so this is how I'm feeling. This is what I'm observing. If we went in this direction, could you be on board with that? And that was as much as like restructuring our sales team a couple years ago. I'm like, I think we're really looking for this type of agent with these types of criteria. And if we go down and it's just me for a while, are you going to be kind of mentally prepared for that and ready for a different group of onboarding? And, we had that conversation before I was just like, so I just, rewrote the whole script and get ready,
Well, I think, and I love your perspective on this, Sarah. I think you guys have built trust. And that's where that letting go, you can't let go of something if you don't trust someone's going to take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's stupidity.
Yeah. Or communicate.
Yeah.
Because like if you don't trust the other person enough to be vulnerable with them, with what you're struggling with or what you see as a problem, and actually communicate and talk about it to find a solution, I think that's where a lot of kind of impasses happen, where people just kind of ghost each other. It's like they don't know how to confront one another because they haven't actually hit that fertile soil of being able to be comfortable with each other, and that's...
So what does that mean to you, Sarah, that trust that you have built, and what have you together with Rachael been able to develop or learn through this process? Because you guys didn't really know each other. It wasn't like you were best friends and let's do this together, right? Which would have had some sort of built trust factor to begin with. What do you think was the biggest factor of her building that trust with you and you being feeling comfortable to move forward and kind of take control of some of that stuff too?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is we know each other's strengths and areas for opportunity, and there is naturally going to be overlap in certain day-to-day activities, but that is where our communication is exceptional. And we're like, okay, are you owning this or am I owning this? There's never you do this part, but I do that part. And granted, there are going to be times where there is a little, but we do a really good job of pausing in the moment and making sure we know who's owning what on a day-to-day and even a moment-to-moment sometimes when like multiple offers are coming in and you're not sure, okay, did you speak to that agent? Did they just email? And so taking the time to slow down before we speed up so that we're on the same page before we say something silly. And of course, it can be adjusted as need be, but that's
a lot of negotiation.
Well, I mean, like for instance, when I started with her, she'd be at a home inspection, text me like, send these disclosures over, and the client would be standing in front of her, being like,
I'm so funny. They were like, you just said this to me. I was like, wow, look at that. That's pretty impressive.
To clarify.
yeah. So I'm like, I'm sitting in front of my desktop. That is
Magical.
I just had something like that happen. I was looking at the person standing in front of me or like giving a speak, and I received something from them. I'm like, oh, that was your assistant. And I know that, and it's good. But now, another question for you, Sarah. What do you think it takes? Because you've observed not only Rachael, but a lot of other agents in these 8 years. And what does an agent need to possess to be a good, I would say, rainmaker of a team or a leader of a team, at least with their admin? Because not everybody has that skill set that they can allow to let go and stuff. So what are some of the skill sets that Rachael has that allows you to be successful in your job?
Yeah, I think being open-minded, because it is for the most part a blank canvas, and it's not corporate America where they're like, this is how you climb the ladder and this is how it's done. Every team is run very different, and so being open to having the uncomfortable conversations and slowing down and being like, okay, what went wrong and how do we adjust that for the future, or do we just avoid it altogether?
Yes.
So
That's great.
So I guess I've stolen Sarah before she ever got to play in corporate America, and I had the pleasure of doing it for her. I do try, and whether it was me alone or me running the team, I do try to treat it like a corporate environment. So I am very respectful of their nights and weekends. Anybody on the operations team is kind of off limits unless I'm like in an emergency situation, which I really try to keep to actual like I'm in a pinch. I'm
standing in front of a house and I'm going to have frostbite if you don't help me with
Yeah,
this.
maybe it's something. Yeah. So, I mean, I have tried to treat it like a corporate environment where we're doing like weekly check-ins and annual reviews and goal setting and looking at our year that we've just completed and what we want to accomplish ahead and elevating it. So it's not just like a bunch of people slinging houses, that we are actually operating and have like a plan of growth. And I know where Sarah wants to be financially and what does she want to do outside of work. And, so I do try to bring like if we're not going to call it corporate, a professional environment for everybody to work in. And because that's where I think what I've been trying to do is create an environment that I would have wanted to work in, so that's what I'm trying to do for the team.
So where do you guys see yourselves in 5 years? Where are we going? I hope you say still with Rachael. That would be annoying.
She's like, I'm up for hire.
I'm
So
really
here's
sorry.
your resignation. No,
My KTA is
Each
good.
in me.
5 years. Well, I would agree. We are very set up. Our foundation is strong heading into 2026. So I'm really excited to see how our 2026 does shake out. But I think that Rachael would agree we're not looking to grow this like team of 100. We're in a really good spot, and I'd like to see everybody individually continue to grow within the team. That doesn't mean we're not open for growth as a team. If it was a win-win and it made sense, but I think seeing now the current team grow within.
I love that because I have seen that. That's exactly what your team did in 2025.
Yeah.
Like the numbers that your team, so all that time
Yeah.
put into each of the team members to allow them to do that trajectory. And that, in my opinion, is the beauty of the team system. If you do it right,
Yeah.
that not only does this help you, but it helps them attain their goals. Like if you're not looking at your team members' goals and helping them attain it, and also your admin's goals, right? Like you said, I know, Sarah, I almost called you Rachael.
I get that all the time.
Well, your email does say Rach and H. But if you don't know what her goals are, she's going to grow out of your team.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably harder than anything, is to keep a team that they can grow within it. And so, Rachael, what do you see in the next 5 years?
I personally see kind of sustained organic growth. So we're not, like Sarah said, we're not trying to be a team of 100. We have 4 agents right now, and my objective is to meet their financial goals, to make sure they have the leads coming in that they need to be successful and for them to hit their financial goals. And if we're doing that and they're maxed out, then who are the other agents we need to bring on? So we kind of like staffed up our operations side. So ops is ready to for spring market this year. The sales team is like poised, they're in good shape, so I could see us growing. But I get 6 more years of heavy parenting. I have 4 kids at home now, so my youngest is in 6th grade, my oldest is in 11th grade. And so I have 6 more years of hard parenting where I want to be like as accessible as humanly possible. And then beyond that, I'm open to whatever business kind of opportunities grow. But I'm looking to have like a good life balance to be there for my kids. And then again, as time unfolds, if we've put this foundation in place, like maybe it does grow to something bigger.
I love that. I think there's been a lot of foundational growth for you guys, professionally and personally, right? You've both had to kind of step back in times and say, this is not right for my family right now. I need to pause things for whatever reason. And I love that you guys have still stuck together and said, okay, now you need space. Now you need space. And I think that's so important for growth to allow that. So, yeah. What are your thoughts? I love sitting, Andrew, like I know the nitty gritties of people's teams. And then Andrew's just observing.
Yeah, I like to take it away.
I
So
know.
I have some questions because, these are sort of great to know from a 10,000-foot view, right, of sort of the process. But like you mentioned, was it the transaction coordinator that you brought on first, and then it was Sarah, and then what was next after Sarah?
So it was, I don't know what the right term is. I call it pay-per-use transaction coordinator, where you're like, hey, I got a deal. You're going to handle these things. And then, but I'm still mainly in charge. And that's like very affordable. It's a few $100s per
Our
transaction.
next episode, we're going to talk all
I know.
about that.
I can't
So-
wait. And that is such a wonderful stepping stone. And if you're not doing it, I do not know why. I do not know why, because with the prices of houses these days, you have plenty of space in there to pay. And it's a good practice for you to let go of things and learn from somebody who could be doing it better than you. So that's
Probably been doing it for a long
Way
time.
better.
step off the soapbox. Then I hired Sarah, and then we were doing enough transactions between just her and I. And again, your first hire should help you double your productivity. So if you are doing 25 or 30 transactions, they should help you 50 to 60 transactions just with one hire. So keeping that in mind as a metric.
And that was the first year,
Yeah.
essentially?
Second year, right? Second year you hired her.
Yes, my second year in, I hired her. So first year was kind of like me alone-ish, and it wasn't a perfect calendar year. Then it was a transaction coordinator. By the end of that year, I was looking for Sarah. I didn't know I was, but I was. So she was full-time. And then when we were doing enough transactions, I did the math, and I was like, I'm paying enough just to hire somebody full-time, and then they're my full-time employee, so I can do so many more things with them. So they were doing transaction coordination, but also started rolling out our client events for the first time ever. And so Sarah at that time was, an EA, and she was just kind of like duplicating everything that I couldn't be doing. So whatever I needed, she was backing me up.
Yeah, she's like your clone.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the way it was for quite a while. And we ebbed and flowed with the number of salespeople on the team. But so again, it's, pay per use, and then a full-time employee, and then 2 full-time employees before you bring in sales help, because you should have enough of office or admin or work that is just amplifying or duplicating what you're doing to be able to double your business with 2 employees. Definitely with 1, but 100% with 2 people before you bring in sales help. Because if you're bringing in even a showing assistant and, eventually a buyer's agent, you have to offer value to those people. The value isn't just the leads. You need to create, structure and training and systems. And everybody talks about systems. Like, what is a system? Every single thing is a
Everything's a
system.
system.
Everything.
Yeah. Putting your socks on is literally a system.
It's a system. So that, I think, maybe answers your question.
So, and you said it was Sarah, and then who are the 2 other employees before the sales help?
So
Or
we
was it-
let go.
Shuffle.
We didn't let go, but we said we got rid of the pay-per-use transaction coordinator, and we had a full-time TC. So EA and TC,
Yeah.
just those
Full-time,
2.
nice.
And then after that, it was a showing assistant, and then another showing assistant, and then COVID hit, so they became buyers agents,
Yeah.
and they were off and running.
And this model was kind of off of the MREA.
MREA.
Okay.
Rachel
Yeah.
is the queen of that. Study.
I mean,
I mean, why not?
Yeah.
It's a good system.
It works. I mean, I've also drank the Kool-Aid. I was a MAPS coach for a period of time. It was spreading me too thin. I found that I really enjoyed selling houses more than I enjoyed coaching, but I got that knowledge. It's like ingrained in me now. And I've talked to and helped so many other agents in the office, and I'll stand on the hill and talk about, you really need 2 admins running your office and literally running it. They completely own it, so that you're just doing the selling before you bring on sales help, because those people should be doing the training, not you, because it's going to slow you down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, and just from like a boring legal standpoint.
Sure.
So were you an LLC before you brought on Sarah, or did you, was she a 1099, or was she an actual employee with you?
She was an employee. She's been a W-2 employee from the beginning.
Okay.
ADP, payer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All the payroll stuff.
Well, and those are the things that, and I like people saying that if you follow a system, if you're putting in the work, it works. There's a reason it's a system that's successful. But it's a scary thing for agents to do a full-time, it's just that leap. But I think I think this changes things. When you know your goals, and you were all in, once you had made that decision.
Yeah.
And I know you gave yourself that space, and then you were like, I'm all in. Then this is what it has to look like. And I think so many people wait too long and drag their feet and say, well, I can still do it. I mean, I talk to people, well, I'm good at that.
But think of how much
sure
better
you
you
are,
can be.
but I bet there's someone better at that.
Yeah.
I'm the queen of outsourcing. Every single
Yes.
thing in my life that I can outsource, I outsource. Like every single thing, down to my groceries being delivered. I should own stock in Amazon. Like,
Oh yes.
I mean, but also too, like installing the signs and staging and the floor plans. And I could do all of those things.
yeah, you're very capable of
I
that.
could, but I'm not going to because my value is either implementing lead generation or converting leads and creating opportunities for other members on the team. And I don't have to own everything.
I love that.
I don't want to. I mean, honestly, by handing things off to Sarah and Sarah's team now, because I don't even have to run that team, it just amplifies everything we're able to do.
So Sarah, now that you're running a team, that's a different source than being executive assistant.
Mhm.
What do you think the one skill set you had to learn to do that? Because that's a different thing than just kind of doing whatever needs to happen, but to build a structure of a team of admin support for a bigger team.
Yeah, it's the people management, because it's not only the people management as like the overarching, but their personalities and what their goals and strengths are. And so to help with that, I went back and got a master's in organizational leadership.
Whoa,
we're
that.
yeah.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay.
So that was a big part. I can't even remember the dates at this point, but I got that about a year and a half ago. So that's been really helpful for dealing with different personalities and areas that I wasn't as accustomed to with just a marketing and finance major. So continuing to grow personally and professionally.
Well, and again, I think this comes back the whole time is, Rachael, if you didn't have trust in her,
Mm-hmm.
you couldn't have gotten much further than the two of you.
Yeah.
Because you can't manage force. Like you can really only manage about 2 to 3 people.
Mhm.
Like outside of that, it's chaos.
Yeah. I would just say this too is, again, I saw this shining star over here and I wanted her for myself. And don't think that whoever you hire needs to go on and get a master's degree. Like that is, again, above and beyond, like looking way big picture. If you want whoever you hire to be great and you can't do all of it, hire them a MAPS coach. Like they'll learn so many skills that you don't have to physically teach everything. And I think the other stumbling block that some people face is like, oh, if I hire somebody, then I need to be shoulder to shoulder with them 40 hours a week. And that's not the case, because keep in mind, you're investing into either buying your time back or amplifying your business. And so there's plenty of times where, well, it's not plenty of times. Generally, my day is like 8 to 12 or 8 to 2 in the office. And then I'm either on appointments or I'm with my family, but the office is still running because we have to have it running. And so I guess as an agent, if you're on the sidelines, like, oh, that's gonna, put a damper on my ability to have flexibility or have some downtime or whatever, because we work nights and weekends. Well, we do work nights and weekends, which is why I'm with my family in the afternoon. So that is just what it is. So don't use that as a stumbling block to say, oh, I can't hire somebody because I don't have time to do that. How much did you have to figure out on your own?
A lot.
Because I'd be driving around.
Yeah, I didn't come in and I'm like, all right, I'm this perfect DOO ready to go. There was a lot of learning each other, learning the business, learning real estate in general. So there was a lot of little hiccups along the way of like, I have no idea what an appraisal is or what an EMD is. And
that's okay.
I had to walk around the office and knock on doors. Be like, hi, Rachel's not a showing. What does this mean?
Or like, how many classes did you sit in here? You know what I mean? Like, I trained her. I didn't train her. I gave her the tools or put her in the classes as if she was an agent.
Yes.
Because if she's has the brain of an agent, she will know how to do what needs to be done when I'm not around.
I tell agents all that time, like, use the resources at your fingertips. Like,
This is what you're paying for. This is literally what you're paying for.
Like, don't reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, someone else has done it for you.
Yeah.
That's part of our onboarding
you
is they get
licensed
a list.
too?
I am a licensed
You are?
sales
Okay.
assistant. Yeah.
When did you get licensed? Was it soon after?
In 2018.
Yeah.
So I think maybe around 4 to 6 months after
Okay.
starting with Rachael.
Yep.
Yeah, after the 90-day period to make sure, hey, this is really working out. And then, yeah, around the 4 to 6 month range, I got
That's
licensed.
just interesting.
And it was a good backup, like in an emergency, would she
Yes.
open a door?
Right.
You know.
Yep. During COVID, we were all in different directions in the state.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, kind of to tie the bow on this, because I think we could talk about this, and there's so much to this.
Yeah.
But as an admin, Sarah,
Mhm.
if we have a lot of also agents that have realized this is not selling a house is not actually their forte, too. What would you say if someone is looking at being an admin? What is the thing that they need to make sure they have or are comfortable looking at when they're looking at a team?
So from an operation, like an agent wanting to join operations,
that
or an
looking
agent
at-
that wants to join a team?
No,
agent.
going into operations. As an operations director,
Mm-hmm.
what would someone want to look at, or a
So-
skill set?
My biggest question is, how sure are you that you want to make the jump to operations? Because we pour a lot into our team, and for you to say this might just be a bridge, or I'm not sure, to train them, bring them up to speed, and then them be like, oh, and I'm going back to sales.
Yeah, because a lot
6
of
months, a
agents
year
think
later.
that's a great.
Yeah, they're not sure. They
segue
want to
into-
use that to get more experience, and then suddenly they're gone, which, like, that's great for them. But we also have to think about us and be like, okay, well, we're looking for somebody hopefully long term. So my first question is, where are you at? Because we can match where you're at for the most part, but you have to have an understanding for yourself what you want long term.
That's great. And someone wanting to build a team, Rachael, what would be that one thing that you feel like you've done it all? What would be the thing to, for them to think about?
I think if, say you're like simply a solo agent, like handling it all, number one, it can very much improve your life, because the nature of real estate is so intermittent and crazy that it can improve the quality of your life by building kind of more of an infrastructure around you. It helps insulate you when times are lean and all that. But number one, you do have to learn how to let go, and if I'm not willing to do that, well, then you're saying that I'm going to stay like this forever. And so I was like, okay, I'm willing to let go. Like, I don't want to do this forever. And you got to take a little risk. I mean, I'm not telling you to take a huge risk, but you got to be willing to try a little bit, but it's risk reward. And if I was not willing to do that, then I would have given up so much time with my kids. I would not have, grown as much as I have, had as many opportunities, been a 2-time guest on the podcast.
That's right.
I mean,
That's the
That's the
only
most
way you
important
do it.
metric,
Take
yeah.
risks.
Yeah,
Gotta get
you-
to be on the podcast.
so I would say you have to be willing to let go a little bit, and that will help you in your growth. And everybody should be wanting to grow a little bit, and you got to just take a little bit of risk.
I love that. I love that. Any last words, Andrew?
No, I think it's a great story. I kind of like I kind of want to see it play out as like a narrative film, like the two of you meeting and then like spawning and growing in series.
We'll see you next spring, and we'll tell you if we
That's
did
right.
all our
We'll
business.
put
Write a
on a
script.
flooding.
Yeah,
We'll put on a movie next year, I guess. Andrew's
exactly.
thinking creatively, like, this is an amazing show.
Genesis story, an origin story of Rachel and HT.
So knew it. You thought the next 5 years you were going to be building your
Oh,
business.
I do have one other question. Very important. When you were hiring Sarah, did you ask her how she felt about the color green?
No.
No?
I don't even know the freaking thing. I've already told the story of green, so if you're curious, go back to the last podcast.
You got that. Yeah. Right.
However, I don't know. Green has become a thing, but nobody protests. Everybody seems to like the green, so we go with that. So thank you, very helpful during every.
We're not using wearing the
kind.
We're honoring you today.
Thank you.
So thank you, ladies, for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Sarah, especially. I knew Rachael would no problem chatting.
Blab it up.
It takes a little more for someone in the back
Yeah.
to jump in. So I appreciate it, because this is one of the greatest gaps in agents' business. And they
And red block.
every single day I'm talking to an agent about leverage. And so to be able to allow your experience to pass that on is very important. So thank you guys. You made my life easier by telling everybody how it's done. And I think it's really important for people to see it doesn't have to be beautiful at the beginning. It's going to be messy. And yet look at what the opportunities are. And that the very fact that, Rachael, you're saying, I plan the next 6 years to be with my family.
Yeah.
That's the reason. We don't just, it's kind of like in real estate. We don't just make money to make money.
Right.
We have to have a why.
Mm-hmm.
We don't just build teams because that's the next step, because that would be miserable.
Yeah.
But it
you're
has
not
to be for a
forced.
reason,
Right.
right? And so thank you, ladies, and
Thank you.
you never know when the next time you guys are going to be on. So
Well, thanks everybody for watching and listening, and make sure you stay tuned for our next episode 2 weeks from today.
see you later.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Behind the Sign, Real Stories from Real Estate.
We hope you enjoyed today's conversation and gained a little insight into the world behind those for sale signs.
Today's episode was brought to you by Keller Williams Realty Metropolitan, proudly serving New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine, and Massachusetts. A special thank you to our agents, leadership, and partners at KW Metro for their continued support.
And thanks to you, our amazing listeners and viewers. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss an episode.
Leave us a review or comment. We love hearing your feedback, and it helps more people discover the show.
And if you have a real estate story you'd like to share or a question you want answered on a future episode, reach out to us at metro.kw.com or find us on Instagram, handle @KWMetroNH.
Until next time, we'll see you
Behind the Sign.